Hey friends, so Jason Womack here, coming at you from Montgomery, Alabama. I just want to give you a little bit of an intro to what we'll be doing together during our sessions. So first off, you'll hear me say this throughout our presentations. There are 3 things to do to change life. Change my life, change your life, for you to change someone else's life. I'll go into these in more detail. First thing you can do is make awkward eye contact. So what that looks like in a day-to-day is actually pausing to notice the person on the other side of the table, other side of the hallway, other side of the screen. Number 2 is to engage in some kind of a meaningful conversation. So that means we're going to talk about something that's interesting to you. Meaning you are going to talk about something that's interesting to them. And then the third thing is to figure out some way to follow up later on. And I know some of us are built or designed to solve problems as they come in, to fix everything right now. I'm going to challenge you to find a way to hear what someone's saying, to watch them very carefully, and then at the points where you can, figure out some way to follow up later. So as other folks are looking to, I invite us to rally around, circle around. I love to think on paper. Some people call it journaling, because when I think on paper, I actually slow myself down a little bit. I actually let myself see what I say, because I think fast. I know I'm not alone on this. So the invitation to you is going to be to pause, to slow down. I call it reflection. And what I'm going to invite you to do is to experiment or experience what it's like to see clearly. There's 3 views that we're going to talk about together. And I'm going to have you go through some exercises where you get to practice these 3 views in real time. So there in the room, you'll have the opportunity. You're going to be able to write about this. You're going to be able to think about this. You're going to be able to talk about this. Ultimately, I would love to continue the conversation. As you'll find later, I'm a firm believer in separating out the thought to response. Sometimes if I let myself pause in between stimulus and response, what winds up happening in the response is a little bit differently. I don't know if anybody else has ever found that. So as you're sitting there wondering, as you wander through the day today, my invitation to you is going to be to watch what you see, and then watch what you see, and then what thought comes to mind about that thing that you see. The concept that I'm after here is how clear can you be in those views that you are in what you're noticing, in what you're ignoring, and in the problems that you're deciding to attend to, the problems that you're deciding to solve. So get ready. If you wanted to practice, if you wanted to kind of set the stage or plant a seed before we get together here pretty soon, notice today what you see. Notice today how that stimulus create some internal response, and then watch yourself as you follow through with that response. So what I call the because is it gets us from where we were, where you and I don't know each other from the past, right? We're meeting right now. We'll have some time together in real time. So your because ofs, that's the timeline that gets you to this point. Now you've got another layer or another version or under the iceberg of why, which is so that. Why do you stay in the service? So that. Why do you want to make sure your children have opportunity? So that. Why are you interested in strengthening the human domain of you as an influential leader? So that. The so that follows where you place your attention right now, today. That timeline. If you were to begin the timeline with your because ofs, you're going to find that along the way, things show up. You're going to find that along the way, there's a because of that influences how you hold people accountable. There's a because of that will influence the way you create belongingness in your unit. You're going to find that there are because ofs that influence the way you handle crisis. That's the ABCs, by the way. So how you hold people accountable, how you create belongingness in your unit, and how you are going to manage yourself during crisis. If you take a look at your because ofs, gang, that's what's going to influence you as an influential leader. Now going forward, what are the so that's? Or maybe the question that we need to explore is, how can I position myself? How can I gather information? How can I reflect on my experiences? How can I collect insight so that I take all the goodness of the past and I apply that into the future, and I check myself before I wreck myself? How might I respond the old way that is not going to hold water in this new future that we're all entering? How did I used to respond to holding people accountable, creating belongingness, managing myself during crisis? That as a leader, as always being watched, I can't continue doing. All right, last little bit before I turn this over to when we get to be in real life together. My brain, your brain, our brains are doing three things during the day. There's actually some psychologists that think that we do these three things while we're sleeping. But here they go in no particular order that other than the order that I like to talk about them in. So the first thing that my brain does, or a thing my brain does, is it notices, right? So it's busy all day long. It is trying to figure out what's out there to pay attention to, what's out there to notice. If there's something that grabs my attention, it'll go that way. So depending on where you are right now watching this thing, you could be doing any sorts of things, noticing what's going on around you. The next thing that my brain is doing is that it's ignoring. It is fighting the urge to look around and take in information, and it is attempting to get rid of anything that is unnecessary at that particular point in time. And then the third thing that my brain is doing is it's solving the problem I give it. It's looking out for what is not right and how do I make it right. So whether it is making sure that the flag is not wrapped around the pole, or that the rubbish bin is not out in the middle of the street, right? My brain is designed to look around, to notice things, to actively ignore what is not important at any given moment, and then to solve the problems I give it. So I guess the challenge I'll leave you with is, what are you going to notice today? Can you make sure to notice the right things? What are you going to ignore today? And can you be conscious about what you're ignoring? But maybe the most important question that I can give to you right now, between now and the time we get together, and then after that for the rest of your lives, what problems will you choose to solve?